Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, your host for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the Ifeadi Odenigbo interview yesterday. Exclusive content from Fireside Giants just for you guys, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it because it was an awesome experience for us to get to know Ifeadi, his background, his story, and also what he's going to bring to the football field. You know, Anthony really handles those football questions, and he did such a great job. I tried to get more into his personal life, get to see what he's about, what he's like behind the scenes. And it was an incredible experience. I know you guys gained a lot of value from it. I'm rooting for him. I know you guys are. He's a guy who really was the Vikings' best pass rusher last year, played incredible football, and I'm really excited to see him in blue this upcoming season, guys. But today, I want to talk about a rumor that's going around. I know there's a lot of draft circulation and a lot of rumors revolving around the Giants, specifically at 11. And the one that has actually interested me the most the past couple of days is the idea of drafting Alabama cornerback Patrick Surtain. And for the most part, I'm not opposed to drafting Patrick Surtain, but what I will say is that it doesn't really make sense with the allocations in free agency. And I will also say this, Dave Gettleman needs, and really the Giants, not just Dave Gettleman, Joe Judge too, they need to make sure that Daniel Jones has as many weapons, as many assets that he can use on offense this upcoming season. We know how bad the offense was last year. They averaged about 18 points per game, ranked 31st in the NFL in points per game last year. So that's a unit, that is a category they need to expand upon. Obviously, the running game should improve with Saquon coming back in a year of experience with the offensive line and this new kind of faces and units and coaching staff put together. I think that they will see a little bit of improvement. But for the most part, the Giants need to be thinking about the 2021 NFL Draft at 11th overall pick, because I just heard a rumor that the Philadelphia Eagles might want to leapfrog the Giants and maybe snag a receiver like Jaylen Waddle, which would potentially leave DeVonta Smith to fall to us at 11. And you know what? I'm okay with either Waddle or DeVonta Smith. You know, some people might have their preferences. Both are elite level receivers in my book, and Waddle's coming off a serious ankle injury. DeVonta Smith is arguably the best college receiver in history. With his yardage and production in touchdowns last year, you know, just unbelievable production, unmatched, unparalleled. You can't get better than him, you know, as a prospect, as a receiver. I think maybe a little bit more size. People will have Jamar Chase, Jaylen Waddle, DeVonta Smith. They're all ranked differently depending on the organization, depending on the team. But what I will say with Patrick Surtain is that cornerback is a luxury. You know, we talked to Ifeadi's marketing manager yesterday, who also has football experience, and he said, having a lockdown number one corner is like the last thing you do when you're building a defense. You want a premier edge rusher, and you want good run stopping, and then you get that lockdown corner. The Giants have James Bradberry, who's arguably a top 5, top 3 corner in the NFL. And then you have them just signing Adoree Jackson for 3 years, $39 million, which it was a ridiculous price for a player coming off an injury. I think they overpaid him a little bit, but I still love the player. And I think when he's healthy, he's capable of you know, reaching those expectations with ease. Just a matter of staying healthy. So I think, you know, that's the big thing. But the Giants did their due diligence. They made sure to check on Adoree Jackson, Kenny Golladay, make sure they're 100% healthy and they're good to go. So I'm not worried about the injuries right now. The contracts, it is what it is. Obviously, they see the benefit in having him. Logan Ryan vouched for him. He's like you know, they're like brothers. So there's that, you know, relationship to consider. But when it comes to Surtain, the idea behind it is you can never have too many good players at a position, especially with Adoree Jackson's injury history. Having a cornerback out of Alabama, Joe Judge has ties with Nick Saban, ties with a lot of those Alabama coaches. He's hired a lot of them to his staff right now. The Giants have the biggest coaching staff in the NFL now, which is very interesting. A different strategy compared to latter years where, you know, they kind of skimped out on the coaching staff, and they're really investing money into the development of their players, which I think is exactly what they should be doing. You can't draft well if you don't have the coaching staff to maximize each individual player's strength. And I think that's the primary thing for the Giants, and I think maybe that's something he brought over from New England, or whatever it might be. So, in my opinion, you know, with Patrick Surtain, he offers you a potentially elite boundary corner, a solution for the future in case, you know, they move on from James Bradberry after the next 2 years. He only has 2 years left on his deal. I think for the most part that Patrick Surtain would offer them not only a solid corner day one, he could probably start in the slot and then move his way outside. Having that experience is super beneficial. The Giants do have Darnay Holmes, and they're high on the 4th round pick. You know, we speak to his trainer all the time, Brian Walker, great guy, and he tells us, you know, that guy is going to take a big step forward next year. He's training, he's working his ass off. I'm pretty confident he's right. And there's no reason to draft Patrick Surtain if you can get an instant impact player day one, whether it's Micah Parsons, DeVonta Smith, Jaylen Waddle, even Rashawn Slater. I would consider him an impact player day one. There's no guarantee Patrick Surtain's going to start on the first week of the regular season 2021. There's no guarantee that that's the case. And with that being said, the Giants have the ability to find a player right now who's going to offer day one production and efficiency. You know, whether it's DeVonta Smith, he is going to offer day one production. Micah Parsons, day one linebacker paired with Blake Martinez. He can do multiple things, rushing the passer as a stacked outside linebacker. We just posted a recent video talking about the allegations and why we don't think that's the biggest deal. We think that people are they're blowing that up way out of proportion, even though the stories are pretty messed up. The courts didn't charge him with anything. They let him go free. He's good. Like, there's no, I'm going to trust the law with this one, guys. After we learned with the DeAndre Baker case, half that stuff didn't happen. So how do we know? We weren't there when Micah Parsons was blamed for this. Even Yetur Gross-Matos he had stuff filed against him by the guy that supposedly has happened to, and he's still on an NFL team, didn't hurt his draft stock. So I'm going to stick with the law here. I'm going to say Micah Parsons is going to be just fine. He's going to get drafted high. Apparently the Raiders at 17 really, really like Micah Parsons. I highly doubt he falls that far. The Giants, I just read an article, we posted a video about this the other day, and that's the Micah Parsons video on some quotes. And the Giants are like, we hope he's gone before he gets to us because we don't want to have to make the decision of drafting him. That's why I think, by the way, the Giants have done so much evaluating these pass rushers, because they're preparing themselves for either maybe a trade back scenario presents itself and they can still get Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia, who I think is consensus best pass rusher, minus any injury history concerns for like Jaylen Phillips and stuff like that. But what I think with the Giants doing a lot of evaluation when it comes to the pass rushers, not only do they want to be prepared for the second round at 42 for maybe one that drops, they have a lot of information on who they should be taking, but also if a trade back scenario does present itself, where should they be going back to, how far, the value, the capital they should get in return, and what pass rusher is worthy of being taken in the 15 to 20 range. Which one really stands out. I think Azeez Ojulari, a little undersized, very great functional strength though, really great bend, great speed, great pass rush moves. He has everything you want. But again, we've already went the Georgia route with Lorenzo Carter, and it was a little disappointing, obviously, but I think he was stepping up last season before the torn Achilles, so it's hard to come back from those injuries, but we'll see. But referring back to Patrick Surtain for a second, when it comes to Patrick Surtain, you have a lockdown secondary. Let's talk about the schematics of this, because the Giants defense, I think, is going to take a more man coverage scheme next season, because last year they played a lot of zone, and the reason they played a lot of zone is because they had Isaac Yiadom, slippery hands over here, who couldn't cover anybody. He was getting blown up. He had a couple of decent games, a couple good performances here and there, but for the most part, 90% of his games were not very good. And with that being said, the Giants needed that upgrade. They needed a Dory Jackson. They got him. And drafting Patrick Surtain would not only shore up that cornerback unit for the next 3 to 4 or 5 years, but it would offer them, that security blanket that Patrick Graham needs. Because when you have a reliance on man coverage, it really forces you to have those good lockdown cornerbacks, and when healthy, Adoree Jackson's one of them. James Bradbury is one of them. Darnay Holmes, I think, is capable of being one of them. But what I will say is this: the Giants ranked 9th last year in points allowed per game, playing that zone coverage scheme with no pass rush for the most part, and really not the best CB2 situation going around. And they had Xavier McKinney for about half the year, so that was a problem too. They ranked 9th in total points allowed per game, and if for whatever reason Adoree Jackson went down, they didn't draft Patrick Surtain, they could just revert back to that zone coverage scheme and be just fine. I'm not too worried about the schematics of it. Patrick Graham knows what he's doing. The players know what his scheme was like last year. They have a lot of experience now, so I'm not too worried about that. I don't think Patrick Surtain is going to be our selection, guys. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think it's the most efficient move, because I don't even think he is going to go into this team with a day one guarantee starting position. I think if you draft DeVonta Smith, Micah Parsons, even Rashawn Slater, all those guys are day one starters, and they're impact players day one for Daniel Jones. I think they're going to go offense, and I'm basing that off of John Mara's comments. Really following the season, he said that we need to allocate resources to help Daniel Jones. We need receivers. We need this. We need that. And the Giants have already expelled a lot of their cap space for the upcoming next year on players like Kenny Galladay, and they got John Ross. They let Kevin Zeitler go. I know they feel good. If you saw the pictures of Matt Parrott, the guy looks freaking massive. I'll post a picture in the video so you can see what I'm talking about. He looks ridiculously big. He looks like he gained some pounds, some muscle mass at least. I think they feel pretty confident with him and Solder at right tackle. And obviously you have Will Hernandez at left guard, who I think they feel good about. Center Nick Gates, they feel good about. Andrew Thomas, obviously he's good. Right guard, that's the question mark. Do you trust Shane Lemieux? Probably not. He's not the best pass blocker. Probably not going to trust Shane Lemieux, to be honest with you. So I think if they do go with a playmaker on day one, day two is going to be a right guard for the most part, or an interior offensive lineman, because this draft has not many good interior guards in the first round, but the second round, there's tons of value there. There's no like standout day one guards, but there's tons of value on starting guards with potential in day two, like Wyatt Davis, Landon Dickerson, even Ben Cleveland might be a third round pick. We interviewed Quinn Miners. The guy's an absolute tank. I'm excited to see what he does at the NFL level as a D3 prospect. Really intriguing there. But yeah, that's kind of what I had to say about Patrick Surtain. I get the idea behind it. I get, injecting more cornerback depth, but we just spent $39 million on Adoree Jackson. If we didn't do that, I would say, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's probably what they're going to do. But they really plugged two positions there. Now they can go BPA. They can wait to see who comes to them, then make their decision. They have their draft board, guys. They have a draft board. They have where they rank on it. They can like Patrick Surtain. They can like Micah Parsons. They can like Azeez Ojulari, DeVonta Smith, Jaylen Waddle. It does not matter unless those guys actually get to them. If they gets to 11 and a couple other guys on the board are, up there and they're still available, we're sitting pretty, guys. I'm pretty excited for that. So I hope you enjoyed this video talking about Patrick Surtain, a little quick 10-minute, 11-minute to get you guys some information on what is going on and what I'm seeing on social media and from the beat reporters and media members. I'm just kind of consolidating all this information and giving it to you so you have one place to get it as always. And obviously the exclusive stuff with Ifeadi Odenigbo, go check out that video. It'll be linked throughout the video. On the top right, it comes up and suggested if you're listening on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Apple, make sure to go hit up the YouTube channel because it was a sick interview. I saw the interview is also there. But the visuals are cool because you get to kind of see him and it's interesting. A different kind of like relationship when you're watching it instead of listening. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into Fireside Giants. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather in New York, and we will catch you guys on the next one. But make sure to subscribe below on YouTube and make sure to turn on the notifications for Apple and Spotify. Much love as always. We'll catch you guys later.